good evening to you. You're welcome to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel, and I'm very, very happy to be here this evening to bring you up to speed with the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. On today's edition of the show, we shall take a look at the weekend fixtures in the top 5 leagues in Europe, as well as other stories revolving around the world of sport, not forgetting the ever-exciting Nigerian Premier Football League match day 4 fixtures that comes up this weekend. It promises to be an exciting one, and we'll urge you to sit tight as we have a lot for you this evening. We'll take a short break and we'll come back. We'll unravel all that you need to know revolving around the beautiful world of sport. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course I have Michael with me on the show this evening. Michael, good evening to you and welcome to Sports Extraordinary.
Yeah, good evening to you, Kingsley, and good evening to our viewers. There's always a delightful moment talking sport right here on Atlantic Television Network.
All right, let's quickly take a look at the African University Games as women's 4x400 meters quartet repeats dominance. Fayous Erimo Farouk Kademi is the FASU Games champion in the men's 100 meters. The 400 level student of computer science ran into a headwind of 1.8 seconds. 1.8 seconds to stop the tape at 10.70 seconds to snatch the title. It is worthy to note that he was the only Nigerian present in the final. University of Ghana draw Yere Marteng Nathaniel and Bila Moses rounded up the podium in 10.74 seconds and 10.80 seconds. And in the women's 100 meters final, Ghana's Janet Mensah continued her form from the heat to win the title in 12.18 seconds. Her compatriot Zainab Awenu came in second place after winning 12.36 seconds to nick out Suleiman Moro Nikeji of Fayo, who recorded a time of 12.38 seconds to finish third. Furthermore, USD closed the day 2 of the FASU Games in style with a resounding victory in the men's 4x400 meters final. They clocked 3 minutes 12.64 seconds, 12.61 seconds to finish ahead of Uni Ghana, who pushed them every step for the way. The later recorded a time of 3 minutes 13.45 seconds. Unilag was a far third in 3 minutes 19.45 seconds as well. Unilag women's 4x400 meters quartet repeated their dominant performance to win the title in front of the home crowd with a time of 4 minutes 5.13 seconds, and Lasu placed second with 4 minutes 38.97 seconds, while Lasu Tech ranked third in 5 minutes 21.04 seconds. Was really an impressive performance from some Nigeria universities, especially Unilag as well, and Lasu Tech and other Nigerian universities we've seen them, of course, participate in one or two events so far. Michael, what do you make of the African University game, the way it's shaping up so far?
I think for me, the 11th edition of the All African University Game is shaping up pretty well. And from the information that we've gathered so far since the start of this competition, I think Nigerian universities as well, they are not doing pretty bad. They've been up there trying to compete among their peers that from other African countries out there. You can't also forget the impressive show of Farouk yesterday when he was able to at least make that one count for us, because he was the only one that made it to the final. A whole lot of expectation on his shoulder, but then he was able to deliver. Then again, you talk about the University of Lagos, that is UNILAG. They are also doing very well, especially in the women category, the 4x400 meter, the quartet of their athletes also continue their dominance. Don't forget the 10th edition as well. They also put up an impressive outing. This edition as well, they've also continued from where they stopped in the last edition. LASU, that is Lagos State University as well, not also left behind, because they're also competing favorably well with others. We must also try to differentiate this. This 11th edition is co-hosted by two universities, first of its kind. Now, the use of the name LASU and the UNILAG, sometimes it is conflicting, so many persons out there, they might not understand. But Lagos State University is LASU, then UNILAG is the University of Lagos State. So these are the two different universities, but based in Lagos State, that is co-hosting this edition of the All University Game in Africa, and they've been doing very well as well. University of Kano not also left aside. So for me, I think it's been a very impressive start for us. The University of Ghana as well, they are doing very, very well as well when it has to do with this 11th edition as well. So for me, taking a look at what has transpired so far in the All University Game, I think it is a nice one, and I'm seeing a lot of improvement compared to what we saw in the 10th edition, where there were security issues, challenges here and there, and all of that. But this edition, I think we haven't had any complaint of whatever. I think the only complaint in this year's edition is about traffic. Sometimes some of the fans are trying to find their way to the venue. They meet with a very serious grind lock. I know what it means. If a game was supposed to start by 4 o'clock, you're on your way trying to head to the main bowl of the venue, you are stuck on the hold-up out there. That is the only challenge, and of course it's quite understandable. Lagos State is a commercial hub of Nigeria. The population is very huge, so many times there is a lot of traffic jam here and there. You find it difficult. That is the only challenge for this year's edition. Away from that, I think it's been a rosy one so far.
A rosy one so far. And Michael, are there measures where, of course, we can also spot out talent, from this particular national African University game? Looking at the fact that we've seen a lot of talent, in athletics. You talk about judo as well. We've seen talent, in different sports, especially from Nigerian universities. You think there are measures put in place that we can possibly spot out talent, not just sporting out, but also looking forward to see how to integrate them to the national teams?
I think the only area of our strength is always the athletics when it has to do with the All-African University Games. Over the years, I think athletics we've been doing very well. That is the only area I can boldly say, yeah, we have the edge over other African universities that is taking part in this very one, which I think if there is anything to go by from what the Ministry of Sport is saying, because they are also very well on ground. Some of their officials is also, monitoring what is going on out there. Maybe this year's edition is going to be a different ball game as well. That after discovering some of this talent, we can also give them the proper equipment and as well the support to also continue to chase their long-time dream of being an athlete You know, so for me, I think that is the only area of strength that I'm hoping that we are going to get 1 or 2, probably 3 athletes that is going to shine in the future.
Let's say it goes the African University game taking a very good shape down there in Lagos, and we hope that at least Nigeria will be able to spot our talent, from this particular one. But away from that, we have to stay away from the university games as we take a look at football on the show. And the Adoke Messimaka Stadium in Port Harcourt is set to witness an explosive South-South derby as Rivers United, led by Coach George, takes on Eyimba, coached by his protege Yema Olariwaju, on March 4 of the Nigerian Premier Football League. Now, the encounter marks the first meeting between Finidi and Olariwaju since parting ways at Eyimba. Mike, what do you make of this encounter? Rivers United against Eyimba Football Club this time around at the Adoke Messimaka Stadium. Both teams, they've started the season in a very fine fashion. How do you see this one panning out?
I'm not expecting anything different. It's going to be a very tough game, no doubt, because Eyimba, they fought so hard last season. They fought gallantly, chased for the title, but then Enugu Rangers was able to nick that one on the board, and they lost out on the league. But then don't also forget that these two coaches, they've been together for at least last season, even when Finidi George won the Nigerian Premier Football League under Eyimba. This same coach was also there with him, and it was a record-breaking one. 9 times they won it. So I think it's going to be a massive clash. More like a master meeting his apprentice as it is, because Olariwaju was the assistant of Finidi George, even in the last season with Eyimba, before Finidi George now got that national call-up to come take over the job of the Super Eagles. He now left. Olariwaju was, also reinstated rather into the team to take charge within the period that Finidi George wasn't around, and yet he played a couple of games out there, did pretty well. And then Finidi George, in his journey with the national team, it didn't actually go down well with him. He threw in the towel, left, and got a job with Rivers United, thereby leaving his vacant position at Eyimba. And Eyimba, having seen that Olariwaju is doing a nice job, there was no need of bringing in a new coach. They had to give him the job on a permanent basis, and ever since then he's been doing very, very well. This season as well, he has also started in a very fine note. Has played 2 games, won all 2 games, have 6 points as it is right now. Also taking Eyimba far. In fact, they are the only team representing Nigeria in the continent, the CAF organized competition that is left. The rest 3 teams that were there with Eyimba, they've all been knocked out, leaving the burden of trying to see if Nigerian teams can actually have 4 teams again next season in the CAF organized competition because of the coefficient. Because how far you go in the CAF organized competition is how much the point that will be accrued to you, and that coefficient point is also going to serve for the rest of your teams out there. Either they are going to have 4 teams in the CAF Champions League, or 2 teams or 3 teams in the CAF organized competition. So with that burden right now, with the responsibility upon Eyimba under the tutelage of Olariwaju, I mean, it is very, very massive. He understands the responsibility, the challenges that is at stake. Now, going to meet his master after a while, I think it's going to be more like an emotional game. On the other side, Finidi George as well has played 3 games for Rivers United so far this season. He's won 2, drawn 1, that is 7 points, seated second. So, positionally, Finidi George with Rivers United is better placed in the league table compared to Eyimba. But strategically, you want to also say that Eyimba under Olariwaju is better strategically compared to Finidi George with Rivers United.
Tactically, Olariwaju is better than
I say strategically. Tactically, I really don't know, because when you say tactically, Finidi George, since he left, Olariwaju might have learned new tricks and learned new trade, you know, because he wouldn't want to stop at the at where Finidi George left him. He need to also improve as a student. After a teacher have taught you in the classroom, and then you go, the teacher
I think
would.
we saw him in Europe a few months ago.
Yeah, to also upgrade his, yes, his coaching CV. And that is what I'm saying, that what Finidi George had impacted with him, he went as far as upgrading the knowledge of the game as well. So this time around, he may be even a better coach than Finidi George, who also, I don't know if he has gotten his FIFA license B, because we know when he was at Enyimba, there are sometimes that Enyimba play in the continent, he was not allowed to come stand on the touchline because of the fact that he didn't have a UEFA license B, a coaching license out there. Meanwhile, Olarewaju has gone to upgrade his CV. So I'm just seeing a very interesting match this weekend. Everything will come to play: emotion, the passion, the battle for supremacy, tactical battle on who, you know, is better off in terms of the tactics deployed. I think it's going to be a very, very great game to watch this weekend. But then I still see Rivers United to have the edge, not because they are playing at home, not because Finidi George is there, but because of the history, you know, that surround these two clubs. You know, it has been a very, very rich history whenever Rivers United get to play with Enyimba. The last 5-4 meeting right now, I think Enyimba, they find it very difficult to get all 3 points right here at the Adokia Messimaka Stadium. But then, whether that is going to change this time around, because football is dynamic, you know, it's left to be seen. But let's see what Finidi George and Olarewaju will bring to the table. But if you ask me, I'd rather go for a draw in that game.
All right, let's see how it goes this weekend. Will Rivers United, of course, slaughter Enyimba Football Club at the Slaughter Ground, talking about the Adokia Messimaka Stadium. But Michael, before we take a look at Rivers United and what Finidi George, of course, is doing, what do you make of the way Kanu Nwankwo has been able to put things, you know, at Enyimba Football Club administratively?
Well, for me, I think under the leadership of Papilo, Kanu Nwankwo per se, I think we've seen a little bit of stability with Enyimba. You know, Enyimba, before Kanu Nwankwo came in, their former chairman, there is this thing about him which the Abba fans were not always very, very happy, is that every season they let go of some of their key players, very, very key players. In fact, it's one of the reasons why some of the Abba fans or Enyimba fans have not even forgotten or forgiven their former chairman when they won the CAF Champions League back to back. Immediately, that historic moment, they had to let go of about 5 or 4 of their key players that were very, very vital and very instrumental in helping them, you know, to win that league. So for me, I think under Kanu Nwankwo as the chairman of Enyimba, I think he's been able to stabilize the team in terms of the organization of the team, in terms of partnership deal with companies. I think Enyimba is up there. So I think for me, he's doing a great job so far. The only thing I'm still hoping that is going to change the narrative is about the pitch. It's always a problem. You know, sometimes we'll be calling for our ex-international to come take up the administrative system in our football right here, so that at least we can have a fresh breath, a fresh ideas, so that they bring the knowledge, the wealth of knowledge that they've garnered from Europe, you know, down to Nigeria, so that our league can be improved. Some of us have been calling for some of these ex-players to take up the administrative position, so that we can see a new lease of life. Now, Kanu Nwankwo, he played the game at the highest level. He saw everything under Ajax, Arsenal, Bournemouth, just name it, Inter Milan. Now, when he took over, I'm thinking within the space of 2 years at most, he should be thinking on how to modernize the stadium using his capacity, using his power. Though he might not be using his money, but then to put up an idea for the government that this is how I'm thinking that our pitch, our facilities, our training facilities should be, so that we can meet up with the standard of the European. if not the standard of the European, but at least an appreciable standard where Enyimba will stand out as one of the teams that whenever you are going to play in their stadium, you know you are going to play in one of the best stadiums in the country or in Africa. You know, that fear factor alone is enough for you to lose that game, because going there to play in a pitch that is quite different from what you have, you know, that advantage will be there for them. So that is the only angle I'm thinking under the regime of Kanu Nwankwo. Before he leaves, he should do everything possible to ensure that the pitch is improved and some other training facilities. Isn't it all shameful that as big as Enyimba, in their continental game, they are not playing in their home ground? Why? Because the stadium does not meet with the CAF required standard. They play away, you know, to Godswill Akpabio International Stadium. And as a chairman of a club that understands the workings of what administration is all about, and what is the requirement of making a good impact in a football club, you should be able to find a way to be able to, you know, sort out that issue of having a very good pitch, so that at least, you know, people can begin to make reference to him that, oh, under Kanu Nwankwo, the Aba Township Stadium was refurbished and now is very standard. Everything we even craving to go and play there because of the standard nature. So away from that, I think under Kanu Nwankwo regime, I've seen progress from the past, you know, chairman.
There are also sponsorship as well. We've seen for the team. But you talk about the stadium. Just like you mentioned, in Nigeria today, we only rely on the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium for CAF games as well, and even for international games. Is a stadium to put up a stadium like the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium? Is it that very expensive for state governments to dole out money to put up such, you know, a befitting stadium in each of the cities in Nigeria?
It is not a big, you know, issue. After all, the stadium at Abuja, the Abiola Stadium in Abuja, how much does it cost? About 36 billion to put up that structure. Then you talk about the maintenance fees since that stadium was put in place. 1 billion that the business mogul talking about Aliko Dangote was popping in to maintain that stadium. So it is not that a big deal for us to have at least 4-5 standard stadiums across the country. There is no big deal about that. You know, so for me, I'm thinking it's just about the political willingness for some of these administrators and the body that be, you know, to do that. After all, come to think of it, the money that they use pen to socket in their pocket, 1 month you can use the money to offset, you know, the bills of having a standard stadium. So for me, it's a big challenge that, as big as the country is, 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, we only have one standard stadium. Is that not shameful? Even the Abuja Stadium is not in good shape, with such billions of money that was spent to put that stadium together. Talk about the maintenance fee. Yet, that is the capital of Nigeria.
Talking about the Abuja Stadium, the Sport Minister office is there.
Okay, and last 2 weeks we heard that there was no electricity supply there. They have been cut off. They have been cut off. So the Minister of Sport goes to the office under the scorching sun, where the heat will be very, you know, very high. He will be sitting inside his office under that scorching sun with that heat, because the lights have been cut off there. That is how bad it is. Now, the stadium, stadium, Lagos Stadium, where the Super Eagles was, you know, using as their home then, and when you play at the Surulere Stadium then against the Super Eagles, just know it that your name is sorry, because the fans, they bring, you know, the vibe, they bring it alive. They make sure that they put the away team under pressure, that he must to succumb, he must make mistakes, you know, because of the presence of the Lagos fans out there. But then, today, that stadium, you cannot say that the Super Eagles can go and play there, because it does not meet with the CAF required standard. You go to the Cross River Stadium, the Calabar Stadium, that is the UJSONS Stadium. One time it was the home ground for the Super Eagles, where they go and play their games. As at then, you know, the stadium was standard, everything top notch. You know, under the leadership of their former governor, talking about Donald Duke, who is a man who truly understands what it means for you to have a befitting structures in place. Maybe because of the background, the knowledge background of where he came from, because he spent most of his life outside the country, you know, before coming down here. Yet, that stadium today is a far cry from what we used to see in the past. You cannot go out there in the UJSONS Stadium and say you want to take an international match there. Everything is bad. In fact, party activities, party rally, church programs, you know, being hosted in this there in the main bowl of the stadium, in the pitch live. You know, and after hosting some of these church and party rally programs here and there, you know, they don't maintain the place, and that is how it get to deteriorate. And that is how bad it is, that it is only one approved stadium that we are using here in the country, which is Godswill Akpabio International Stadium. What if the governor then, Godswill Akpabio, did not cover such huge money to put up that edifice? So Nigeria as a country, when the Super Eagles want to play, we'll look for the next alternative. Maybe we'll go to Cameroon or Cote d'Ivoire to seek for their support so that we could use their stadium. So I think for me, a lot needs to be done.
A lot needs to be done down here to make sure that, of course, sporting facilities are in good shape in Nigeria. But away from that, let's bring you other features from the Nigerian Premier Football League, as we'll see Ikorodu City against Nasarawa United. Can Ikorodu get, of course, their will I say their first win of the season? We have to keep our fingers crossed to see how that one will pan out this weekend. Economy Warriors against Plateau United, Akwa United against Sunshine Stars, and also we'll see Niger Tornadoes against Bender Insurance. Bayelsa United, Awolokons against Kwara United, and Abia Warriors against Kano Pillars, and we'll see Katsina United against Lobi Stars. Remo Stars will lock ons against Enugu Rangers, and we'll see Shooting Stars against Heartland FC. Michael, another exciting encounter we'll be looking at for is the game between Remo Stars and Enugu Rangers. And before that encounter, the coach of Heartland FC, the Glacier Heartland, Enugu Rangers, has said that Remo Stars are better than the Enugu Rangers side. I don't know what you make of that statement from Fidelis Ilechukwu.
I think it's, for me, typical of Fidelis Ilechukwu. He did this last year, throughout last season, even when it was glaring that Enugu Rangers were going to win the league. But then, every match day, Fidelis Ilechukwu will also tell the media that Enugu Rangers are not title contenders. Even when we had about 2-3 matches before the final season comes to an end, where they were leading comfortably on the league, he will still tell the media and still tell the world that Enugu Rangers, you know, is not a title contender. So I believe he has started another mind game again this season for me. But then, you want to take a look at this clash, it's going to be a massive one. A defending champion against, you know, the tabletop as it is right now, because Remo Stars, they are in the form of their life, having played 3 games, won all 3, both home and away. They have 9 points, seated comfortably on the log right now. Enugu Rangers, a defending champion, got knocked out of the CAF, you know, Champions League. Now all their focus will be on how to see if they can be able to, you know, maintain the league they won last season, whether they can be able to defend it and pick another ticket for, you know, continental battle come next season. So these are all factors that is going to shape up the game between Enugu Rangers and the Remo Stars this weekend. But I tell you, I'm not giving it to either side. It's going to be a very, very keenly contested battle for me. At the end of the day, maybe, just maybe, a slight advantage will go to the home team, talking about Remo Stars. Maybe because of their home crowd out there, they might just be able to, you know, get all 3 points with a slim win.
All right, let's see how it goes. But Michael, reports coming in yesterday was the fact that the Nigerian Football Federation has given Coach Austin Eguavon to go ahead to continue his job as the Super Eagles, coach. And of course, he's going to be the man on the touchline in the encounter against Libya. Talking about the AFCON qualifiers encounter against Libya. What do you make of this decision from the NFF?
It's a wise one. It's a wise one for me. That's just the simple words to say here, because it would have been very, very bad if we woke up this morning to hear that the NFF technical committee have dissolved the team led, or dissolve the coaching crew led by Austin Eguavon to bring in a foreign coach or a new coach entirely. It would have been the worst mistake, because building up to when we played our first game against Benin Republic, so many persons were not happy about the pattern of play of Super Eagles, a defensive pattern of play, not having a clear-cut strategy and techniques or game plan, having a far cry under Joseph Pizarro, But then, when Austin Eguavon came in, we played our first game against the Cheetahs of Benin Republic right there in New York. You saw the change in narratives. You saw the change in the pattern of play. You saw a new Super Eagles. Same players, but different pattern of play. More committed than before. There is this synergy among the players and the coaches. So for me, it would have been the wrong decision for us to let go of Austin Eguavon to bring in a new coach. I think the two games that he has played so far, he won the first one convincingly, went away against Rwanda to pick a draw. Even when their president was there live, they could not win the Super Eagles. In fact, the Rwandans, they had to celebrate. They nearly called for a public holiday just to celebrate the fact that they were able to hold Super Eagles to draw under the tutelage of Austin Eguavon. So as it is right now, played 2 games, we are seated comfortably in the in our group in the African Cup of Nations qualifier with 4 points, 3 goals scored, 0 conceded. So for me, with Austin Eguavon, Fidel Isilechuku, Kennedy Boboye, and the goalkeeper trainer talking about Barua, I think they are a very, very perfect fit for the Super Eagles. You're listening to some of the key players during the first African Cup of Nations qualifier where we played with Benin Republic here. The likes of the captain of the side, he spoke glowingly about the man, talking about Austin Eguavon and how they've been able to understand themselves, how they are working in good terms, in tandem with the players and the coaches. So for me, I think that understanding is there. And we have seen a new philosophy, a new pattern of play from the Super Eagles under Austin Eguavon. So for me, I would also give a nod, if I were to be the NFF chairman, that Austin Eguavon should retain that post as it is for now, until after the African Cup of Nations qualifier and the World Cup qualifying games have come to an end, before we can sit on a round table. And I believe this is what Austin Eguavon talked about on his way back from Rwanda, where some journalists actually misquoted what he said or misinterpreted him, that he said he was stepping aside. Maybe, just maybe, is what I'm thinking right now, that after the African Cup of Nations qualifier and the World Cup qualifying games has come to an end, we can now have time to say, okay, let's sit down on a roundtable discussion and chat a way forward. We'll be able to evaluate the games that he has played, evaluate his performances. If it is good enough for us, then we'll give him the job on a permanent basis. But if we think that he's not done pretty well, then there is need for him to go, and maybe by then we'll have more time as well to look for a better coach.
All right, we'll look forward to see what's around the wardrobe. Let's say what the wardrobe Eguavon, who achieved this time with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Now, with the departure of Mr. Randy Wardrum, the executive committee also approved the recommendation of the technical and development subcommittee for Coach Justin Madugu to lead the remaining technical crew and take charge of the senior women's national team Super Falcons pending the appointment of a substantive head coach. All right, let's stay away from that as we take our eyes now to Europe and see some of the features that will be coming up this weekend. And we'll start with the Nigerian Premier Football League. And let's say Nigerian Premier Football, the English Premier Football League, where Newcastle United will lock on against Manchester City this weekend. And Arsenal will be national against Leicester City, Brentford against West Ham United, Chelsea against Brighton, and Hove Albion, Everton against Crystal Palace. We'll also see Nottingham Forest against Fulham, Wolverhampton Wanderers against Liverpool, and Ipswich Town against Aston Villa. Manchester United will lock on against Tottenham Hotspur. Michael, Manchester United, everyone will be looking forward to what will be the outcome of that encounter against Tottenham Hotspur because of how they've been struggling. They drew against Twente just this week, and that was not a very good result from United playing against Twente, a team that everyone thought they were going to get past with ease. What are your expectations from that encounter?
My expectation is that it's going to be a very tough game. Tottenham playing away from home, Manchester United at home at Old Trafford to welcome Tottenham. But then the fearsome nature of the name Old Trafford, I think it has been diminished under Eric Ten Hag era, because the feared Old Trafford seems not to be the same again. Any team could just come there and run away with all 3 points or even get a point, just like what we saw Twente did a few days ago. And the pressure is piling against Eric Ten Hag. Manchester United fans across the globe, even their ex-players as well, have also been voicing their opinion. Don't also forget that 2 days ago, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer also spoke to the media, and he said that he would be very, very, interested to come back to Old Trafford if need be, for him to come and take the position of the head coach of Manchester United. What does that tell you? It tells you that the position of Eric Ten Hag is under threat because of the poor result that he has been getting. Since last season, Manchester United have been struggling in form. In fact, they came through the back door to get to Europe, because they finished 8th position in the league last season, and that is their worst. Now, Chelsea, that was shuttling between 11 and 12 position for the majority of the season, even had to finish above Manchester United, that were supposedly meant to be title contender. That is how bad the season were for Manchester United under Eric Ten Hag. But then, like I said, that they passed through back door to get to Europe by winning that FA Cup against Manchester City, and that is how they were able to find themselves in Europe. If not ordinarily, if for what they played in the league last season, they weren't supposed to be in Europe. Now, they've started the season. They've played about 7 games in all. They've just managed to win 3, so far this season. That is how bad the pressure is being piling upon. Now, to make it worse, under Eric Ten Hag in Europe, I've played 9 games, managed to win just 1, draw 3, lost 5. That is how bad the record is. And the pressure is piling upon Eric Ten Hag. So you take a look at all these indices and statistics, and the managerial acumen of Eric Ten Hag to change the shape and structure of Manchester United in the pitch of play, so that Manchester United, we have an identity when they are playing. It has not yielded that fruit, that much desired change in the pitch of play for Manchester United to have a clear-cut pattern of play and say this is their identity, whether they are a low-block team, a high-pressing team. You can't actually, pinpoint one and say this is the pattern that Manchester United is known for rather now under the era of Eric Ten Hag. And so with all of this, I tell you, this weekend is going to be more like another litmus test for Eric Ten Hag. Whether his BP is going to increase when he loses against Tottenham, or whether the tension is going to calm down a bit, at least when he gets a convincing win at Old Trafford. So for me, it promises to be a mind-blowing one. But don't also forget that Ange Postecoglou, from what we've seen of him since last season when he came to Tottenham, is not a bad coach at all. Also, putting them side by side, tactically wise, I think Ange Postecoglou may have the upper hand against Erik ten Hag.
All right, let's start away from the Premier League as we'll take a look at the La Liga as Real Valladolid will lock ons against Real Mallorca, and we'll see Getafe against Alaves, Rayo Vallecano against Leganés, Real Sociedad against Valencia, Osasuna against Barcelona, and Celta Vigo against Girona. Also, Atletico Bilbao against Sevilla, Real Betis against Espanyol, Atletico Madrid against Real Madrid. We're going to see the Madrid derby as well. But because of time, let's quickly bring you the Serie A fixtures as AC Milan lock-ons against Leeds. We'll see Udinese against Inter Milan, Genoa against Juventus, Bologna against Atalanta, Torino against Lazio, Como against Verona, Roma against Venezia, and Empoli against Fiorentina. Napoli lock-ons against Monza. And the German Bundesliga, we'll also see the likes of Borussia Dortmund against Bochum. And as well, we'll see Mainz against Heidenheim, Borussia Mönchengladbach against FC Union Berlin, RB Leipzig against Augsburg, Freiburg against St. Pauli, and Wolfsburg against Stuttgart. Bayern Munich will lock ons against Bayer Leverkusen. Michael, that clash promises to be an exciting one. Bayern Munich against Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah, Bayern Munich will be hoping to have their own pound of flesh against Bayer Leverkusen for the defeat they suffered in the hand of Bayer Leverkusen last season, where they actually were beaten. And Bayer Leverkusen under Xabi Alonso went home with a trophy. In fact, they actually stopped Harry Kane from touching his first trophy. So this time around, under the new man, Vincent Kompany, who many people do not even trust to be the man that is going to bring the positive change at Bayern Munich. Looking at how he has started the league so far, I think he's been very, very impressive. They are scoring goals for fun right now. And for Bayer Leverkusen, you can't rule them. Just like the name may be sounding more like synonymous, Bayern Leverkusen, you want to say Bayern never losing.
All right, with that, to call this a wrap, we'll see how the weekend, of course, will pan out. It promises to be an exciting one. We'll take a look at all of that on the show. But special thanks to Michael for putting up some incisive analysis. Tomorrow will be another time we'll make a return for Sports Personality by 7 a.m. Go down to our different social media handles. The conversation continues right there. Don't forget, peace and unity are always the pathways to progress. My name is Kingsley Emmanuel. Thanks for watching.